Welcome to the Shreveport Connection with Tommy. This video is on your pay-per-view Hell in a Cell from WWE from last night. And here we go with the results and some brief WWE news. As the pre-show normally would have a match, well, didn't have one. Okay, October 27th, 2013, WWE was advertising Kofi Kingston versus Damien Sandow as a kickoff match, leading into the pay-per-view Hell in a Cell. Well, that was changed. The match replaces the Intercontinental Champion match with Curtis Axel and Big E Langston. It was previously announced that the match was off due to an injury suffered by Axel. The company has yet to elaborate on the nature of Axel's injury. Thus, they gave a update on the injury today, and WWE Intercontinental Champion Curtis Axel was unable to work the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view due to the injury to both hips. The timetable for his return has not been established, and it remains to be seen how WWE will handle the Intercontinental title situation if Axel cannot go in the near future. Perhaps we will get some explanations on Raw. The injury occurred when Axel was in the ring last week, or some sort, with Big E Langston, and there is said to be no heat on Langston over the injury. Other news, Chris Jericho will be a guest on Sunday's Talking Dead panel. The show airs at 9 p.m. Central Time on AMC after the Walking Dead TV show. Jericho can't possibly be a worse guest than Marilyn Manson was on Sunday night. Still have no clue what the hell the shock rocker was babbling about. However, CM Punk set the bar high for pro wrestlers during his appearance. The show will serve as a good platform for Jericho to promote his new online show, But I'm Chris Jericho, that debuts probably tomorrow night, Tuesday night. Hell in a Cell aired live on pay-per-view from Miami, Florida at the American Airlines Arena. Pre-show, Josh Matthews introduced the show as a hot shot aired of fans in the concourse. Matthews led a panel that featured Dolph Ziggler, R-Truth, and Caitlyn. Ziggler said the World Heavyweight Championship match intrigued him the most. Truth spoke about the WWE Championship match, and Caitlyn stammered a bit while talking about the possibility of Daniel Bryan winning, who was also in later on with the panel, I believe. Renee Young set up a poll to determine who Mr. Hell in a Cell is. Backstage, The Miz told Vicky Guerrero that he wants Bray Wyatt in a match. Vicky told him that he's not medically cleared and thus he can't give him a match. Miz said fine, but then added, there will be a fight. Big E Langston joined the panel, as Matthews noted that his match was canceled due to Curtis Axel's injury. Caitlyn said Paul Heyman is a manipulator, and she hopes he gets got, playing off of R-Truth, what he said. And .NET reader Billy Sweeney is in attendance and also noted that Rey Mysterio joined the Spanish broadcast team, considering the history of abuse the Spanish table has taken. I'm not sure that that's a safe spot for Mysterio and his bad knees. Matthews interviewed The Shield, who checked in from backstage. Seth Rollins complained about Big Show costing them the tag titles. Roman Reigns said that the odds may appear to be against them because they are facing two brother teams, but their bond is stronger. Langston asked if they have the advantage because Dean Ambrose interferes. Ambrose told Rookie to stay out of their business. And Langston challenged Ambrose to a U.S. title match. Ambrose told him he doesn't deserve a shot. Langston said he's just a rookie, so Ambrose should not have a problem with it. Ambrose said he would give him a lesson in manners, and it seemed to be confirmed that the match was on. Ziggler endorsed Langston and his chances of winning the match. A John Cena video package aired with Michael Cole, Jerry Lawler, and JBL on commentary for the opening match. Opening match. Damien Sandow versus Kofi Kingston. Pre-show. Sandow said that the slack-jawed mouth breathers were eager with anticipation because John Cena is returning. Kofi jumped out to a fast start, but then Sandow took over and they went to a pair of commercials for the pay-per-view commercial. Is there even one person watching the Hell in a Cell kickoff match that is unaware that the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view is tonight? Okay. So then what's the point going to a commercial in mid-match? Late in the match, Sandow pulled Kingston into the second rope and clotheslined him, then hit the "You're Welcome" finisher for the clean win. Sandow defeated Kofi Kingston in 7 minutes and 5 seconds. Pre-show match. It was nice to see Sandow get a rare clean win. If nothing else, it's surprising to see a heel win the kickoff match. Renee Young sat in on the social media lounge and read tweets that also appeared on the screen next to her. Because WWE viewers don't know how to download the apps, recognize when a pay-per-view is taking place, or apparently know how to read it all. As she read the poll results, that listed Undertaker as Mr. Hell in a Cell by a landslide. Taker had 81%. Mick Foley, the guy who helped make Taker Mr. Hell in a Cell, scored 6% and was tied for second place. The panel then spoke about the WWE Championship match, then went on the conspiracy snowballing, then picked Bryan to win. Ziggler said he doesn't like Orton, but he's about to become an 11-time champion. This is fact. Orton is better than Daniel Bryan. As Ziggler said, another commercial closed out the pre-show, and then the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view starts off with a video that opened and featured various performers such as Mick Foley, Shawn Michaels, Edge, and discussing the danger of the Hell in a Cell. Please don't do this at home. Michael Cole introduced the pay-per-view and was joined in on commentary by JBL and Jerry the King Lawler. First match, Tag Team Championship. Goldust and Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins. And Roman Reigns versus the Uso brothers in a triple threat match for the WWE Tag titles. Goldust was worked over by the Shield as Reigns called him an old man and said, "Let's see what you've got." Goldust came back and made a hot tag to Cody, who performed a missile drop kick on Reigns. Rollins tags in, and Cody got the better of him and caught a missile drop kick for a good near fall at 10 minutes 25 seconds in. JBL pointed out that the Uso brothers should be coming in to break up the pin attempts. Cody set up for the beautiful disaster kick, but one of the Uso brothers tagged him to enter the match. One of the other Usos performed a big dive over the top rope onto Goldust and Reigns at ringside. Back inside the ring, the other Uso hit the toss Samoan drop on Rollins for another good near fall that the live crowd countered along with. When Rollins fought back, Cody tagged the Uso to get back in the match himself. When Cody chant started and faded. Cody and Rollins fought for position on the ropes. Cody superplexed Rollins onto everyone else at ringside in a hell of a spot that drew "Holy shit" chant at 13 minutes 15 seconds in. A loud "This is awesome" chant follows. Cody had Rollins pinned when one of the Usos leapt off the top with a splash to break it up. Reigns entered the ring and speared the Uso after a series of moves that cleared various wrestlers from the ring. Goldust caught Rollins with an uppercut. Then Cody caught Rollins with a crossroads for the win. Cody and Goldust defeated Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns and the Usos in a triple threat match to retain the WWE Tag Team Championship in 14 minutes 40 seconds. Cody caught Rollins with a crossroads for the win. Very good action down the stretch with the live crowd buying into several near falls. It's nice to see Cody and Goldust continue their reign. I was worried that Usos would be used to close the match so that they could continue with Cody and Goldust versus the Shield. But the Usos didn't lose anything here and instead turned in an impressive performance. A shot aired of Triple H and Shawn Michaels talking and laughing backstage, so expect the heel turn for Shawn Michaels. Well, The Miz headed to the ring, dressed in his gear, just like in the pre-show. Miz said that the Wyatt family has been stalking him. He said he's not medically cleared to compete, but that doesn't mean he's not medically cleared to fight. He told Wyatt to get out of his Cracker Barrel rocking chair and to leave his goons behind. Come and get me, Miz told Wyatt. Wyatt family interest music played, and Wyatt appeared on the big screen rocking back and forth in his rocking chair from Cracker Barrel. Wyatt said it pains him to see Hollywood broken and disheveled. Disheveled. He said Miz's words mean less than thought to him. If you could only see the monster that lives behind my eyes, Wyatt said before laughing. The lights went out, and to end the promo, the lights didn't come back on. Luke Harper and Rowan were already in the ring. They quickly got the better of the Miz with a loud "We Want Bray" chant started. Rowan and Harper worked over the Miz, but then Kane's music hit and stopped them dead in their tracks. I expected this to be made a tag team match. Well, that wasn't happening. As Kane walked to ringside where he met Rowan with a big boot, Kane entered the ring and had an awkward exchange with Harper, who he failed to pick up. Kane tossed Harper over the top rope. Rowan and Harper backed up the stage. Kane turns around, grabbed Miz by the throat, and chokeslams him. What's that about? Was Lawler said. Maybe Kane is pissed because he was kidnapped and no one seemed to care. So now he's taking it out on the Wyatt family and everyone else, which is why Miz was chokeslammed. Just a guess. It was a business as usual for Kane, who looked no different than when we last saw him. Match number 2, Fandango and Summer Rae versus the Great Khali and Natalya in mixed tag action. Before the match, Fandango told the crowd that what they know about salsa dancing is primitive and crude. He said he is the master of salsa dancing. He and Summer salsa danced until Khali's music hit. In a crowd-pleasing spot, Natalya went for the sharpshooter on Fandango, who then fled to ringside where Hornswoggle was laughing at him. Fandango then grabbed Hornswoggle, but Khali reached over because he was too close to the rope from the top rope and grabbed him back in the ring. Summer Rae then tagged in and strutted her stuff in front of Khali until Natalya got a hold of her. Natalya went for a sharpshooter on her, but Summer reached the ropes. And Natalya walked toward Summer, who pulled Natalya face first into the ropes, and Summer rolled her up for the quick pin in her first wrestling victory debut. And the match as a tag team, mixed tag, was only 4 minutes, 45 seconds long. Okay, we go back to the Hell in a Cell panel of Josh Matthews, Dolph Ziggler, R-Truth, and Caitlyn, speaking about what they had just seen on the show so far. Shockingly, all 3 members picked out 3 different favorite moments. It looked like Dolph had to look down at his sheet to remember that he was supposed to be excited about Miz calling out Bray Wyatt. Match number 3, Dean Ambrose versus Big E Langston for the U.S. Championship at 3 minutes 30 seconds in. Langston standing on the apron. Ambrose clotheslined him on the top rope, then ran him into the ring post in front of the referee. Langston came back with power moves, including a big clothesline. He went for the running splash, but Ambrose moved. Langston came back in with a belly-to-belly suplex for a 2 count. Langston performed a running splash at 6 minutes 50 seconds in and got a 2 count. Ambrose headed to the ringside and motioned as if to say he was walking out. Langston ran after him and brought him back in the ring, but Ambrose caught him with a DDT for a 2 count. Langston bled below the eye from what it appeared as he suffered a cut on his chin. But the blood was coming from up here. So it may have been Langston. It was. Okay, both of them were bleeding in that spot. 8 minutes 15 seconds in, Langston speared Ambrose off the apron. Ambrose stumbled around ringside until he was counted out. He grabbed his title and tried to walk off, but Langston caught him, threw him back in the ring, and performed a big ending finisher on him. Langston stood over Ambrose, holding the title to end the segment. And Big E Langston defeated Ambrose in 8 minutes 40 seconds, but everybody knows the title cannot change by count out. Langston's big running clothesline caused a cut suffered below the eye. They were too close, and Langston ran his head into the face of Ambrose as he was performing the move. The crowd was pretty flat throughout the match. In fact, they were the loudest when they booed the cheap finish. I assume we were going to see a finish like that if he worked with Curtis Axel as originally scheduled, but I'm not sure what they had planned had the match occurred. For those who missed it, WWE announced that Axel was off the show due to the undisclosed injury. Which I told you in the pre-show, hip injury. Hell in a Cell structure lowered around the ring for the next match. Video footage as the cell was very slowly moving down to the floor. I was expecting Brock Lesnar's return, hiding under the ring, but it didn't happen for this next match. Let's see, aired the footage of CM Punk announcing the match previously. Then they went back to the structure, lowering around the ring prior to the ring and entrances of CM Punk versus Ryback and Paul Heyman in a handicap Hell in a Cell match. Noted that this was the 27th Hell in a Cell match in history. Punk was out first, followed by Ryback. Heyman came out on a scissor lift machine. It looked like they were having issues with it initially as they pulled up right to the Hell in a Cell door. As the entrance took longer than you'd expect, as the lift slowly brought Heyman to the top of the cell, he cuts a promo saying he was Satan himself and Ryback would be collecting Punk's soul. Heyman stood on top of the cell as Punk and Ryback started the match inside. The announcers played up Heyman being afraid of height, yet being more afraid of Punk. Punk got off to a fast start, but Ryback cut him off and controlled the early offense. Ryback suplexed Punk into the side of the cage 3 times and then shoved him into the mat at ringside at 5 minutes 40 seconds. Me and my buddy were talking about how Mick Foley escaped the cage when he ran himself into the side of the cage 3 times, and it finally broke. Well, it was shoved in, and it did not break. 5 minutes 40 seconds in, Punk pulled out a kendo stick earlier, reached for it, and Ryback held him in a chin lock. Ryback remained on the offense. There was some chance of Punk, but for the live crowd, very quiet during Ryback's offense. They did start clapping in anticipation of the Punk comeback. Punk caught Ryback with a crossbody block off the second rope and got a 2 count. Punk then caught Ryback with a high knee in the corner 7 minutes 50 seconds in. JBL kept talking about how Punk was thrown off his game by Heyman taking a spot on top of the structure instead of in it. Ryback hoisted up Punk for the shell shock at 8 minutes 45 seconds in. Punk sets out and picked up the kendo stick, which blasted Ryback repeatedly at 9 minutes 10 seconds in. Punk follows up with a high knee in the corner and a clothesline, then went up top to perform an elbow drop for the 2 count at 10 minutes in. Heyman held one of the cables and stood on one of the beams at the top of the structure as he watched the match. Punk blasted Ryback with more kendo stick shots, then went to ringside and pulled out a table, which he started to set up inside the ring. This would have been a bad spot, because it was just set up on the side, which was used only for one spot. Ryback cut off Punk and ended up dropping him crotch first onto the table, which was set up on its side. Ryback caught Punk with a meat hook clothesline for a 2 count that few bought into at a possible finish at 12 minutes in. Punk caught Ryback with a low blow, which the announcers reminded the viewers was similar to the way he won at Battleground. With Ryback positioned on top of the table in the ring as he put himself on the table, and then Punk goes on to the top rope elbow drop that drove Ryback through the table. Punk picked up the kendo stick and struck Ryback with it. Then followed up with a GTS. Punk covers Ryback and pinned him to win the match at 13 minutes 50 seconds. JBL said that the one thing Punk wanted the most was the one thing he wasn't going to get. Punk had different ideas. What are you going to do? Punk asked while looking up at Heyman. Punk stuffed a kendo stick through the back of his tights and then crawled up the side of the structure like a spider who was frozen on the middle of the structure. Heyman begged off. Punk walked over and grabbed Heyman by the collar, kissed his forehead, then slammed him the kendo stick into his gut. Punk followed up with a repeated kendo stick shot to Heyman's back as the crowd chanted the Borgasm chants, like Daniel Bryan with the yes, with each blow. Punk signaled for the GTS, which was actually looked like a botched. But when he came over, his arms were barely over on his knee. And that's Heyman's arms and not his gut. Punk performed the GTS on the structure and then played to the crowd as music played as he exited. The story was all about Punk getting his hands on Heyman, so while the live crowd liked Punk, they were quiet during the match unless he was hitting a signature spot. It was weak that Heyman's character was allowed to be on top of the structure rather than inside it. The live crowd seemed satisfied with the beating that Punk gave his presumably patted back with the kendo stick afterwards, because his back actually looked like he had some fishing vest underneath his jacket that he was wearing. If you saw Night of Champions, the beating felt like more of the same, only at a higher altitude. A breast cancer awareness video with Lillian Garcia, Titus O'Neil, and Layla was shown, the same one that they've been showing all month. Backstage, Renee Young interviewed Daniel Bryan, who said he hopes Shawn Michaels will do what's best for business by being fair and impartial referee. Bryan credited the fans in Miami for starting the Yes phenomenon the night after WrestleMania 28. He said he would reward everyone who has ever had to fight from underneath by winning the WWE Championship. He led the half-assed crowd into a Yes Borgasm chant. Let's face it, the WrestleMania 28 holdovers were more responsible for the Borgasm chants than the fans who were all there tonight. Well, last night, I don't blame them for trying to rev up the crowd by saying that. Of course, the initial reaction for Bryan in this subject was favorable, but there were plenty of fans sitting down during the Borgasm chant. Match number 5, Los Matadors with El Torito versus Real Americans with Zeb Coulter. Coulter cuts a promo on his way to the ring about how their opponents belong in the cell because they have yet to prove that they are in the country legally. Coulter said the same is true of 80% of the fans in Miami. Cesaro performed the first memorable move of the match when he leapfrogged over Jack Swagger's back and came down with a double stomp on one of their opponents. A short time later, Cesaro performed the Cesaro swing on one of his opponents. It wasn't about the weight this time, it was about how many revolutions. I think JBL was incorrect. That was like 32 or 33 revolutions, and I counted along with it, and he was one behind. As he kept it going much longer than usual, he covered his opponent, but the pin was broken up. Later, Swagger applied the ankle lock, but he was flipped into Cesaro, who was knocked off the apron. Los Matadors hit their finisher and got the pin on Swagger. After the match, Coulter got down on all fours, crying as Swagger and Cesaro had already left and headed up the ramp. Well, he was expressing the frustration over the loss as the Los Matadors set up Torito for a move on Coulter, but Swagger re-entered the ring and ended up taking a Hurricane Rana. Torito then grabbed Coulter gored Coulter to the floor. And that match only took 5 minutes and 55 seconds. Cesaro was a highlight of that match as the Los Matadors gimmick continues to suck. And I continue to wait for El Torito to show off the flashy moves that got him over in Mexico. As his moves, when he comes in the ring, he just jumps from side to side over the top rope to the next wrote, the live crowd was not hot for El Torito's post-match antics, and everyone seemed to be sitting down when they did the post-match spot where Los Matadors put El Torito on their shoulders and played to the crowd. Next up, we had a John Cena video package showing ring entrances for the World Heavyweight title match took place. Del Rio came out waving a big Mexican flag and had a small flag positioned on each ring post. Del Rio drew some heat by standing on the second rope and smiling as he held up the title belt. John Cena made his entrance where there were loud cheers initially and then the boos kicked in. Cena came out wearing a pink hat, shirt, and wristbands, all along with khaki shorts. It sounded as if there were more cheers than boos overall. Lillian Garcia handled the in-ring introductions for the championship match. Lillian delivered Del Rio's introduction in Spanish. So we get Alberto Del Rio versus John Cena for the World Heavyweight Championship. Cena wore a thick pad over a surgically repaired elbow. Del Rio targeted it early on, and Cena was selling it by holding his elbow and adjusting the brace and wristband that sat above it. Cena performed a running bulldog for a quick 2 count. Then Del Rio went back on offense and kicked Cena to the floor 3 minutes in. Back inside the ring, Del Rio continued to target Cena's surgically repaired arm. The announcers played up the question of whether Cena returned too soon following the surgery. Cena broke free from Del Rio and performed an arm drag and a drop kick, but Del Rio regained control and continued to target the arm. Sando was shown watching the match on a backstage monitor while clutching the Money in the Bank briefcase. In the ring, Del Rio left off the second rope and Cena caught him with a drop kick. Cena performed his signature spot and caught Del Rio with a 5-knuckle shuffle. However, Del Rio came right back with his backstabber. He got a 2 count at 9 minutes 5 seconds in. Then he came back with a tornado DDT off the second rope and for a near fall. Dueling chants directed at Cena with the pro Cena chant clearly winning. Let's go, Cena. Cena sucks. He stopped and acknowledged the chants for a moment on the ring apron before climbing the ropes. Then Eddie kicked from Del Rio. Alberto missed the enziguri off the second rope when Cena ducked and came right back again. Del Rio tied up Cena in the trio woe and kicked him. He backed up and charged at Cena, who sat up, causing Del Rio to charge and hit head first into the turnbuckle. Cena caught Del Rio with a high crossbody block off the top rope for a 2 count at 12 minutes 30 seconds in. Del Rio recovered and pulled Cena's arm down onto his knees. Del Rio went for the cross arm breaker, but Cena countered into the STF. Coleslaw questioned whether the bad arm would hold out long enough for Cena. Del Rio reached out and barely reached the ropes with his fingers to barely break the hold. Del Rio blasted a kneeling Cena with a super kick and got a 2 count. 14 minutes 5 seconds in, Del Rio applied a cross-arm breaker. Del Rio peeled the elbow wrap away as he held on to the submission hold. Cena stood up, peeled up Del Rio while still locked in the hold and slammed him with a power bomb to break the hold. Cena came back a short time later and went for the attitude adjustment. Del Rio avoided it and tried to counter, but Cena hoisted him up and performed the attitude adjustment for the win. As JBL referred to Cena as Superman. John Cena defeated and won the championship at 15 minutes 20 seconds in. A decent match with Del Rio doing a very good job of targeting the surgically repaired arm. It seems obvious, but we have seen matches with guys returning from surgery where they basically work their usual match rather than playing up the injury. I'm not a fan of the title change happening this quickly. Why not take the fans on a ride with Cena and as his character fights his way back and eventually wins the championship rather than burning through the story all in one night? Perhaps there's a storyline purpose for it, such as the unification match that fans have been speculating about. I really hope not, as I believe WWE benefits from having 2 titles. And the panel spoke about how John Cena's championship win and the Divas championship match that was up next. AJ Lee with Tamina in her corner versus Brie with her sister in the corner. With Nikki. For the championship, Bree caught AJ in a half crab. I didn't see much of this match because it was so quick. Jimmy climbed onto the apron, but Nikki ran over and pulled her down. AJ reached the ropes to break the hold. Bree went for a running knee. Lee moved. And Bree hit her sister with the knee accidentally. AJ locked in the Black Widow submission hold and got the win. In 5 minutes 30 seconds. Another decent match by the Divas. There was no sign of Nikki being pissed afterwards, but I assume that that knee would trigger the Bella twins splitting out. There's still no indication that Bree is winning over the fans. It's not going to happen overnight. Though they still need to get her away from the Bella twins entrance theme and routine that is held over from her heel days. Backstage, Poundtown players were playing video games when Bob Backlund showed up, and they eventually did the millions of dollars. With Bob Backlund in the middle, doing a little hug dance. In another part of the backstage area, Triple H and Shawn Michaels appeared to be having an animated conversation. Coleslaw noted that they were laughing earlier, but now it seemed like things had turned to business. Video package set up the main event. Justin Roberts handled the introductions for the main event. Shawn Michaels was introduced first as a special referee. No biker shorts. Randy Orton was out next. Daniel Bryan was out last and led the Borgasm. Yes, chance. Triple H's music played and he walked to the ring with the WWE Championship in his hand. Hunter walked over to Orton, showed him the belt, and shook his hand. Oh, bless you know. What's going to happen? Hunter walked over to Bryan and showed him the belt, then offered him a handshake. Bryan shook his head no. Hunter smiled and then handed the title to Shawn Michaels. Hell in a Cell structure lowered around the ring. I'm not sure where Hunter ended up, but he's not visibly inside the cell. At ringside, of course not. And your main event, Daniel Bryan versus Randy Orton in a Hell in a Cell for that title. Orton had the first prolonged run of offense. He took part to ring steps and set him up near one side of the cage on the floor. Orton whipped Bryan into the steps, but Bryan reversed it and Orton crashes into the steps. Back inside the ring, Bryan blasted Orton with the usual round of kicks. Then set him on the top rope and tied him in a tree of woe for more kicks. Then performed a running drop kick on Orton, who still was tied up. Bryan pulled Orton down, and apparently Randy swore as they muted whatever was said. Bryan continued to run with a suicide dive onto Orton at ringside. He went for the move again, and Orton stepped aside and helped guide him into the cage. Orton picked up Bryan and drove him balls first into the ring post. Then caught him with a side backbreaker. Orton slid Bryan back inside the ring and covered him for a 2 count. Orton placed Bryan on the top rope and caught him with a repeated headbutt. Then set up for the superplex, but Bryan fought him off and then performed sunset flip into a powerbomb off the ropes at 9 minutes 40 seconds in. Orton and Bryan traded uppercuts in the middle of the ring, which received a good reaction from the crowd. A short time later, Bryan, who got the better of the exchange, performed top rope headbutt for a 2 count. More kicks from Bryan, who missed the big one and was rolled up for a 2 count, then countered into the Borgasm block. Orton used his foot to reach the ropes. Coleslaw pointed out that Bryan was not obligated to break the hold since it was a Hell in a Cell and there was no disqualification. Bryan and Orton went to the floor where Bryan caught Orton with a running drop kick against the cage. Bryan pulled a chair up from underneath the ring and slammed it into Bryan. Into the gut and then over his back 3 times. Bryan threw roughly 10 more chairs inside the ring about 14 minutes in. Get out of my way, Shawn, Bryan told Michaels. Back inside the ring, Orton caught Bryan with a kick to the gut and then struck him with a chair. Orton covered him for a 2 count, then struck him with another chair, and then got another 2 count. Rinse and repeat. Orton stacked up the chairs into a pile in the middle of the ring at 16 minutes 35 seconds. Orton set up the superplex on the chairs, but Bryan fought him off the ropes and headbutted him. Orton quickly recovered and tripped Bryan on the ropes and then performed a superplex, which resulted in Bryan's feet hitting some of the chairs and not his body. Announcer said even Shawn Michaels felt that one. Orton covered Bryan, who kicked out at 2. Orton questioned the count of Shawn. Triple H walked to ringside and was greeted with an asshole chants from the crowd. Hunter told Michaels through the cage to do his job and make the 3 count. Shawn told him he was doing his job he was hired to do. In the meantime, all the chairs were cleared out of the ring. Orton performed a twisting suplex on Bryan to cover him. HBK was still jawing with Hunter. Orton raced to the floor and chewed out Michaels for not being there and for slow counting him all night. Orton said he knows that Shawn is thinking what Shawn is thinking, and it's not going to happen. Are you going to do this or not? Hunter asked. Shawn told him to let him do it. Later, Orton went for the RKO, but Bryan shoved him off, and Orton crashed into Michaels. Triple H then had the cage unlocked by a trainer and another referee, so that the trainer could attend to Michaels. Bryan hit Orton with a running knee for the visual pinfall, but there's no count. He then walked over to Michaels and told him he had to get up and count. Triple H walked over to Bryan and shoved him out of the way so he could check on Shawn. Bryan hit the running knee on Hunter for a big pop. That's what was Triple H's move anyway, the high knee. Bryan led the crowd into the Borgasm chant. Then Shawn Michaels struck Bryan with a sweet chin music. Orton covers him for the win. 22 minutes, 10 seconds for the title match. After the match, Michaels left the cage and did not gloat or heel it up as he headed backstage. Orton remained in the ring and celebrated with the WWE Championship. 2 referees and the trainer helped Bryan out of the ring. Orton helped Triple H get to his feet. Hunter smiled and then raised Orton's hand while continuing to sell the running knee. Another pro wrestling pay-per-view. Another overbooked main event. All of this nonsense the fans had to suffer through the last 2 pay-per-views, and WWE didn't even reward them with a feel-good ending here. Rather, it's more of the same, only with the question now of what logic Michaels was for hitting sweet chin music on Bryan, which was he upset with him for hitting the running knee on Hunter? Did he blame him for the bump he ended up taking? Was he in cahoots with Hunter? Had he healed it up afterwards, then I would assume that the latter was the case. I guess it's one of those continued Raw endings. Alright, I did some other checking. According to WWE.com, Big E Langston received 7 stitches underneath his right eye, while Dean Ambrose required 8 stitches under his chin following their United States title match after the pay-per-view. Last night's pay-per-view. Thanks for viewing. Peace out.